Every graveyard has its secrets, ancient and dark. Though they're often hidden behind crumbling stones and forgotten paths, there are rules. Rules you must never break if you want to escape alive. No one told Alex this when he dared to spend the night at the old hollow cemetery. What he didn't know was that some rules were written in blood. The wind howled through the trees as Alex made his way through the iron gates of the cemetery, his footsteps echoing on the cobblestone path. A dare from his friends, a challenge to prove his courage. But as the shadows grew longer and the moon climbed higher in the sky, Alex could feel something was off. The air grew heavier, and the silence felt unnatural. This wasn't just an old cemetery. It was a place of unrest, a place that whispered warnings to anyone who dared trespass after dark. Alex had heard the local legends about the cemetery. The townsfolk whispered of strange occurrences, of people vanishing without a trace. But none of that fazed him. He was determined to make it through the night, to say he had survived. What Alex didn't realize was that there were rules in this graveyard, 4 of them. Rules that, if broken, would trap him in a nightmare from which there would be no escape. Rule number 1: never step on the graves. As Alex walked deeper into the cemetery, his boots clicked on the uneven ground. He didn't care much for the markers at first, but as he looked down, something caught his eye: a small, worn-out stone hidden in the corner. Curiosity got the best of him. He stepped closer, his foot landing on the edge of the grave. The ground beneath him shifted. He heard a low, rumbling growl, as though the earth itself had awakened. Suddenly, the ground trembled, and a cold gust of wind rushed past him. Alex quickly stepped back, but the eerie sensation lingered. Rule number 2: don't speak to the shadows. At the far end of the cemetery, a dark figure emerged, tall and hunched, shrouded in black. Alex tried to convince himself it was just his mind playing tricks, but as the figure drew closer, he heard a voice, low, raspy, almost a whisper. "Why are you here?" it asked. Frozen, Alex opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. The shadow moved closer, its form shifting unnaturally. He could feel its cold stare even though it had no face. Alex had broken the second rule: never speak to the shadows. He quickly turned and ran, but the figure's laughter echoed through the night, sending chills down his spine. Rule number 3: never stay after midnight. The clock tower struck 12. Alex glanced at his watch, realizing the time. Panic gripped him. He should have left hours ago. The rule was clear: no one stayed after midnight. Those who did were said to be marked by the spirits that roamed the cemetery. As the final bell tolled, Alex felt the ground beneath him grow colder, and the shadows seemed to stretch longer. A screech filled the air as a cold, invisible hand gripped his wrist, pulling him toward the center of the cemetery. The spirits were awake. They were hungry. Rule number 4: never look back. In his panic, Alex bolted toward the cemetery gates. The wind howled louder now, and he could hear footsteps chasing behind him. He wasn't sure if it was the wind or something else, but he could feel the presence of something following him. The gate was in sight. Just a few more steps and he would be free, but then he heard a voice, soft and insistent, whispering in his ear. "Look back," it urged. The moment Alex turned around, he saw them. Thousands of pale faces emerging from the ground, their hollow eyes staring right at him. They were close now, their hands reaching for him, pulling him into the earth. With a final, desperate scream, Alex was swallowed by the ground. The next morning, the cemetery was still. The only trace of Alex was a fresh grave, marked with a single stone that read, "Never break the rules." Now, the warning stands as a chilling reminder to anyone who dares to enter Old Hollow Cemetery. The 4 graveyard rules. Break them, and you may never leave.